Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you back with us. We are truly grateful for your presence with us today. We have a delightful new tale to unveil for you. Shall we embark on this journey together? Allow me to introduce myself. I am Lucas. I quietly departed from my marriage as my wife lay peacefully asleep, leaving behind no trace or message. I understand how that may seem harsh, yet I assure you, my decision was not made in haste. Years were spent in a delicate dance of perseverance, clinging to the hope that brighter days would eventually dawn. Yet they chose not to. In all honesty, my marriage transformed into a realm that felt foreign to me. We shared a tapestry of history, love, and cherished memories. Yet as time passed, those beautiful threads became obscured by discord and strain. And in time I faded away, leaving no trace behind. What I never anticipated was the unfolding of events years down the line. Allow me to share the tale of our beginnings. For an extended period, I believed I had unraveled the mysteries of life. From the very first moment our paths crossed, Isabella and I felt an undeniable connection. We may not have been flawless, yet our love ran profoundly deep. When the moment came for us to choose a life together, I embraced it without a second thought. I held faith in our connection. Yet, marriage possesses a unique ability to challenge all that you believe you understand. Once we exchanged our vows, an unforeseen event unfolded that caught us both off guard. Isabella is expecting a child. It was a moment filled with joy, a cherished memory, yet it all fell apart in an instant. One afternoon, as I immersed myself in my work, a call came through that irrevocably altered the course of my existence. Isabella had endured the heartache of a miscarriage. It was not merely a loss of pregnancy. It came perilously close to taking her life. In a moment of dire urgency, she found herself in a delicate state, having lost a considerable amount of blood. It was then that a dear friend arrived, only to discover her lying unconscious on the kitchen floor, prompting an immediate rush to the emergency room. She expressed her frustration, unable to locate her phone to reach out to anyone. Upon her return from the hospital, she seemed transformed, more subdued, and distant. She refrained from raising her voice or casting blame, yet a subtle shift in her gaze spoke volumes. It felt as though a fragment of her essence had closed off, eluding my grasp no matter the fervor of my attempts. She began to behave as though every little thing I did was a source of her irritation. I might utter something as simple as, "Would you like your coffee?" and she would respond with a sharp retort. I attributed it to sorrow and endeavored to remain patient. I came to realize that the sorrow of losing a child who was meant to be ours is a burden heavier than anyone ought to endure. I believed she simply required a little time. Yet, time proved to be an unyielding companion to her heartache. Alas, the situation has only deteriorated. Her smile faded, and she began to quarrel over the most trivial matters. Should I arrive home a mere 5 minutes past the hour, she would cast upon me the shadow of indifference. Should I neglect to wash the dishes, it transforms into a discourse on my perpetual lack of assistance. Her words grew more pointed, each one piercing deeper with every exchange. No words or actions of mine held any significance. It often seemed as though I was treading lightly upon fragile shells. I found myself yearning to engage her in conversation, to delve into the depths of her thoughts. Yet she would gently close the door before our dialogue could even begin. I clung to hope for as long as my heart would allow. I gently reminded myself of my love for her, of the sorrow she carried, and that this moment was but a fleeting phase. Yet, even love knows boundaries, and the grace of patience can only extend to a certain point. In time I found my voice once more. Though it pained me, I found myself unable to remain silent any longer, swallowing my thoughts in silence. As I began to resonate with her fervor, elevating my voice and standing my ground, the entire home transformed into a battleground. The silence that enveloped us became increasingly profound. Conflicts would endure for days on end. We lay on opposite sides of the bed in silence, and I found myself pondering, does she still desire my presence here? It was a heart-wrenching realization, Yet I found myself increasingly feeling like a stranger within the very walls I once cherished as home. The woman I cherished with every beat of my heart had transformed into a stranger before my eyes. Yet, no matter how often I pondered what had gone awry, I found myself returning to that singular moment when we lost our precious child. That was the fissure that unveiled all that lay beneath. I believe her intentions were not to cause me pain. It seems she was enveloped in sorrow, struggling to find a way to truly live. Yet, even with that knowledge, I found myself submerged as well. There came a moment in my marriage when the shadows grew so deep that I found myself questioning whether my beloved wife, Isabella, had found solace in another's embrace. Though I hesitated to accept it, her actions no longer seemed to stem from frustration. It seemed as though a chasm lay between us, as if her heart had wandered from the marriage, seeking solace in distant realms. That single thought was enough to stir my mind in delightful disarray. In moments when she was lost in slumber or indulging in a warm shower, I found myself drawn to her phone, curious and captivated. I perused her messages, explored her social media, and examined call logs, searching for any hint of discord. When that yielded no results, I began to observe her intricate patterns. I would gently inquire about her destination and then, with a subtle grace, follow her a few times. There was a time when I took the liberty of placing a tracker on her car. Yet, the reality is that I discovered nothing at all. There was not a hint of betrayal in her demeanor. She was filled with anger, and I became the vessel for her emotions. One might assume that the knowledge of her fidelity would grant me solace, yet it did not. One evening, amidst the lingering tension of yet another prolonged disagreement, I gently introduced the notion of couples therapy. I suggested to her that perhaps we could benefit from the guidance of a neutral party, someone who might assist us in navigating through the complexities we faced. Yet, the moment I brought up the subject of therapy, her demeanor shifted abruptly. She brushed it aside as if it were utterly absurd. It felt as though I was frail for merely entertaining the thought that we might require assistance. Without a word, she returned to the gentle rhythm of scrolling through her phone. I found myself as the sole seeker of connection. She held no desire to mend anything. In the aftermath, a gentle weariness washed over me. I began to linger in the evening's embrace. I would linger in the company of friends, seeking solace in their presence to delay my return home. I found myself not truly savoring their presence. I longed to step through that front door and leave behind the weight that lingered in the air. Indeed, I found myself indulging in drinks more frequently than before. For in those moments of indulgence, the weight of my perceived shortcomings seemed to soften, allowing a fleeting sense of ease to wash over me. Yet, regardless of the hour I returned or the indulgences I partook in, Isabella always had words that danced upon the air. It was of little consequence whether I remained silent or courteous. She would inevitably discover a flaw to remark upon. She would glide into the room, her voice a gentle murmur, weaving playful jabs and tender words until I succumbed to the embrace of slumber. As dawn broke, it felt as though a beautiful cycle was beginning anew. I was merely existing. I found myself merely enduring, inhabiting a space that had lost its warmth, alongside a woman who, despite everything, still bore the visage of the one I once cherished. The moment of fracture arrived with a gentle hush. Having recently lost my job due to a layoff, I find myself in a moment where the timing feels utterly unfortunate. I found myself delicately suspended in a web of emotions, and at last, that fragile thread gave way. With no employment to occupy my days, I found myself lingering at home more often, and that was the moment when everything began to unravel. Isabella, my beloved wife, no longer concealed her disappointment, allowing it to linger in the air between us. Each morning began with a sigh, and each night concluded with a clash. She would cast delicate barbs my way, as if I were merely a shadow, an unworthy presence in her world. As she walked away, her words lingered in the air, a poignant reminder that a man without a job holds little sway. That truth pierced deeper than I would like to confess. I no longer felt the essence of manhood within me. I felt as though I were but a fragile shell, The woman I once adored gazed at me as if I were the source of her unhappiness. I endeavored to express to her my earnest efforts, to reveal that I was actively seeking employment, that this existence was not the future I had envisioned for myself. Yet, she remained unfazed. Each day unfolded as if I were treading softly upon shards of shattered dreams. Then one morning, a quiet surrender stirred within me. She lay peacefully in her bed, cocooned in a soft blanket. With a gentle grace, I rose from my slumber, took hold of a modest bag, and carefully selected only the essentials. A few garments, my laptop, my identification, and a handful of significant documents. I found myself contemplating whether to leave a note or some small token. Yet deep down, I understood that if I lingered in thought for too long, I would never find the courage to depart. Thus I refrained. I made my way to the bank, where I gracefully withdrew every last cent to my name. Though it was modest, it became my sole anchor in this moment. As I stepped into the mobile store, I acquired a brand new phone, gracefully logging out of all my accounts. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, before bidding them farewell and deleting them entirely. And then I shattered my old phone into countless fragments. I wished to remain hidden from the world. We are not merely friends, not of kin, not even she. Subsequently, I ventured online and discovered a charming Airbnb cabin nestled serenely within the heart of the woods. It was wonderfully affordable and delightfully secluded, precisely what I had been yearning for. Without hesitation, I secured my plans and departed from the city that very day. And thus it came to a gentle close. That is how I gracefully stepped away from my existence. On that enchanting first night, as I reclined and listened to the gentle whisper of the wind through the trees and the soft, distant call of an owl, a profound sense of peace enveloped me, one I had not experienced in years. Within that cabin, I began to weave together the threads of my new beginning. With my laptop by my side and the world hushed around me, I immersed myself in the skills I had long overlooked. I have crafted profiles on Fiverr and Upwork, where I present my skills in writing, editing, and a touch of basic graphic design. Though it was modest, gradually the opportunities began to unfold. I was earning just enough to satisfy my needs for sustenance, shelter, and a handful of other essentials. It may not have been opulence, yet for the first time in ages, I sensed a gentle freedom in the air. After several months, I arrived at a decision that took even me by surprise. I acquired a charming little parcel of land not far from my recent abode. It was affordable, serene, nestled within the embrace of the woods, and most importantly, it belonged to me. With minimal requirements, I enlisted the assistance of a local craftsman to create a charming cottage, featuring a cozy bedroom, a quaint kitchen, and a lovely porch where I could sit and immerse myself in the symphony of life around me. It was unpretentious, yet it proved to be effective. I have gracefully severed the connections to the life that once defined me. I steered clear of anything that brought Isabella to mind. Yet, in those hushed moments of the night, my thoughts would gently wander back to her. I found myself pondering whether she had embraced a new chapter in her life. Perhaps she discovered another soul who could evoke her laughter, or embraced her as I once did, or perhaps her joy simply blossomed in my absence. Those thoughts did not linger in the shadows, yet they graced my mind with a frequency that was hard to ignore. Then, after the passage of a year, a subtle transformation stirred within me. Perhaps it was the serenity I had finally embraced, or perhaps it was simply my intrigue that stirred within me. Yet, on a gentle afternoon, I found myself reaching for the phone to connect with my family. The instant my voice graced the air, I sensed their astonishment enveloping them. My mother wept softly. My sister inquired with concern about my well-being, while my younger brother repeatedly exclaimed, "Where on earth have you been?" They felt a wave of relief wash over them. They truly believed I had departed from this world. I assure you, they expressed their utter bewilderment regarding my absence. Amidst the delightful exchanges, they revealed that Isabella had been searching for me, not merely once or twice, but with delightful regularity. They spoke of her unwavering spirit, a testament to her resolve. She reached out to everyone, including cherished old friends and even distant relatives. She engaged the assistance of others to aid her in her search. She posed inquiries that eluded all who heard them. I found myself uncertain of my emotions regarding that matter. I reassured them of my safety and well-being, and we lingered in conversation a while longer before parting ways. That call did not transform my life in an instant, yet it sowed a seed within me, one that I was unaware would blossom into something far more significant in the days ahead. It had been several weeks since I last contacted my family, merely to reassure them of my continued existence. Yet, on a serene morning, nestled within the tranquil embrace of the woods, a gentle knock graced my cottage door. The mere sound was peculiar enough to send a shiver down my spine. In this place, one does not simply arrive unannounced. I gracefully approached the door. As I gently opened it, there she stood, a vision before me. Isabella, my dear, my beloved wife, there you stand. Her garments bore the charming creases of a journey well taken. At first, she remained silent, her gaze fixed upon me as if she feared I might close the door upon her. She confided in me later that my cousin had inadvertently revealed that I had made a call. She moved forward without a moment's pause. With unwavering determination, she devoted every precious penny she had meticulously saved to enlist the services of a private investigator in her quest to find me. To be truthful, I never imagined she would venture that far. Yet she did. She appeared weary, her exhaustion reaching beyond the mere confines of the body. She confided in me that she felt lost, unsure of where to turn next. She had not arrived to engage in battle. She simply yearned for an opportunity to converse. I gracefully stepped aside, allowing her to enter. We lingered in a serene silence for a moment, lost in our thoughts. Then she began with a heartfelt apology. She expressed her heartfelt apologies. Time and time again, she confessed that after the miscarriage, a part of her shattered within. Though she never voiced it, a subtle shift in her gaze suggested that I had become the unwitting target of her blame for my absence during that moment, despite my obligations at work. She confessed that she had not comprehended the extent to which she was distancing herself from me until I had already slipped away. She confided that she entrusted all her sorrow to me, for I was the only one near enough to bear its weight. It simply lacked fairness. It was simpler for her to direct her anger towards me than to confront the depth of her loss. She confided in me that she has finally sought therapy after months of feeling adrift. She confessed that it took conversing with another to uncover the depths of her buried resentment, allowing it to fester, ultimately wielding it as a weapon against me. With tears glistening in her eyes, she lamented the choices that led her to shut me out, dismissing every effort I made to mend our bond, overlooking the possibility of healing through therapy, and transforming our once haven into a place of conflict. As she took a moment to catch her breath, I revealed the truth to her. I did not depart because my love for her had waned. I departed, for I felt the essence of my being slipping away from me. The relentless criticism, the manner in which she cast a shadow over my every action, gradually wore me down with each passing day. I confided in her about how I began to steer clear of the house, seeking refuge from the echoes of anger, how I turned to drink in pursuit of fleeting tranquility, and how I would lie awake at night, feeling like a mere specter in the life I once knew. I shared with her that awakening amidst the serene woods, far removed from the chaos of life, was the first moment in years that I had truly experienced peace. She nodded gracefully, wiping her face with a delicate touch, expressing her surprise at my depths of despair. She acknowledged the challenges I faced, yet she never envisioned they could lead me to such a poignant place. She whispered to me that as we had never taken the steps to dissolve our union, we remained bound by the vows we once shared. And then she inquired if I might entertain the thought of returning home, not to resume our previous chapter, but to embark on a fresh beginning, to explore the possibility of something beautiful blossoming from the fragments of our past. I neither affirmed nor denied my feelings. I expressed to her that I required some time to myself. I found myself uncertain whether this transformation was everlasting or merely the whispers of guilt echoing in my heart. I had devoted so much time to reconstructing my essence that I could not bear the thought of unraveling once more. She inclined her head gracefully, She held back gently. With a gentle sigh, she simply uttered, "Think about it," before gracefully departing through the door. That night, slumber eluded me. I reclined in bed, gazing at the ceiling, seeking to quiet the tempest within my mind. A fragment of my heart ached for her presence. Yet another part gently recalled the trials I had endured. That night, I found myself unable to reach a conclusion. I gently closed my eyes, whispering to myself that clarity would grace my thoughts with the dawn's light. In the tapestry of life, certain questions linger, eluding swift resolutions. Upon reflection, I have come to understand that love alone, in its purest form, may not suffice. Do not misunderstand me. I cherished Isabella deeply. I adored her with all that I possessed. Yet, love that lacks effort, understanding, communication, and healing is destined to falter. We were two souls endeavoring to remain entwined, burdened by the weight of our pasts. And in the end, that burden shattered our bond. She was enveloped in sorrow, and I found myself at a loss for how to offer her solace. I possessed my own boundaries, yet I overlooked them for far too long in my pursuit of strength. What you perceive as strength is, in truth, a gradual unraveling of the self. One lesson I have come to understand is that trauma, when left unattended, can transform into a toxic essence. At first, you may not even be aware of it. It gently weaves itself into your words, your tone, your actions, and the manner in which you cherish those nearest to you. Isabella possessed a goodness within her heart. She was a wounded soul, and often, those who bear pain inadvertently inflict it upon those they cherish the most. She possessed every chance to confront that anguish, yet she chose to suppress it and directed her turmoil towards me. I allowed it to linger far beyond what was wise. The responsibility lies with me as well. I ought to have established clearer boundaries rather than mirroring her fury or retreating from it. For those who ponder my sudden absence, it was not an act of punishment nor a sign of waning affection. At times, departing is the sole path to rediscovering the essence of life. At times, vanishing may be the sole choice remaining when remaining feels akin to a gradual demise. I sought a moment of solitude to rediscover my essence beyond the tumult. I sought tranquility, even if it required solitude. But here lies the delightful essence. Restoration is within reach. It unfolds at a gentle pace. It is far from simple. It requires a profound sense of honesty, accompanied by an even greater commitment to accountability. One cannot simply rely on time to weave the tapestry of one's endeavors. You must confront your own essence. In the end, Isabella took that step, and I hold a deep respect for her decision. In my own subtle manner, I have been embracing that as well. We are still in the process of discovering our path. There is no enchanting conclusion to be found here. Two souls embarking on a journey of healing, perhaps destined to rediscover the path that leads them back to one another. If you find yourself in a similar situation, carry this with you. Love, in its purest form, cannot mend all that is fractured. One must truly engage with their heart, not merely their presence. If you have experienced trauma, allow yourself the grace to acknowledge its presence rather than concealing it from view. Engage in conversation with another soul. Restore. And please, do not presume that someone has excluded you out of malice. At times, it is the sole path through which they may endure. If this tale resonated with you or stirred reflections on your own connections, I would be delighted if you enjoyed this video, shared it, or took a moment to leave a comment. Your thoughts hold great significance, and I cherish each and every one of them. I truly appreciate your willingness to lend an ear. Your value to me is beyond what words can express.